unbreakable word?
My unbreakable word would be unbreakable mind.
And what is your unbreakable testimony?
My unbreakable testimony, I would say, started when I was younger. I was a child. I had some issues in the home, you know, nothing with physical abuse or anything like that. It was more verbal. Of course, it went on, you know, through the years. It was with my mother. I'm not trying to fault her or call her out or anything, but I'm just telling my story. But our relationship just wasn't like a mother-daughter relationship that we were supposed to have. We really couldn't see eye to eye. Still to this day, don't. But at the same time, you have to accept people for who they are. You can't fault yourself for the actions that somebody else does. So therefore, we never had the relationship we were supposed to have, or mother-daughter should have. We can talk, but not for long periods of time, because we bump heads. But that's just what we have. That's the situation that we got. And sometimes you just have to deal with the situation that you're dealt, and deal with it the best way possible. When I was 12 years old, it was on August 6th. I'm not sure the year, but I was 12 years old. It was a week or two before school started back, and I was riding my bicycle on the side road. There was a main road at the top of the side road, and it was right below our house that we were staying in. And I went to circle around the top of the side street, and when I did, there was a car. She caught her front tire caught my back tire. And this was before all the pedestrian laws and everything took place. And so her front tire caught my back tire of my bicycle. And it had threw me up. They said it threw me up about 50 feet in the air. And my head came back down, and my head broke the woman's windshield. It busted the windshield. And so I remember, the only thing I remember from that accident was when I had looked up. I was laying on the road, and I had looked up, and I could see the paramedics around me. They said I was hollering, but of course, you know, you're not going to remember everything. But I remember the paramedics all surrounded around me for that split second. And then the next time I woke up, I was in Greenville Memorial Hospital. It had been a couple days, maybe 4 days, because they kept me sedated because I had such a head wound, because it had fractured my skull. And it had, I believe it bruised or cracked some of my ribs. I'm not really familiar with everything that, you know, I had going on, but the main thing was my skull fracture. It did fracture my skull. And it was on my grandmother's birthday. My grandmother Gillespie, her birthday. Her birthday was August 6th, so it happened on her birthday. And I remember them saying that my Uncle Danny was fixing to take her out for, you know, her birthday dinner when they got the news. But of course, you know, everybody then came to the hospital. But 4 days later, when I finally woke up, and they let me wake up because they kept me sedated. But when I woke up, all I remember is them saying, you know, oh, don't let her look in the mirror. Don't let her look at her face. I guess because they figured I was 12 years old. You know, they didn't want me looking at my face because it was bruised up. So I went to the bathroom, and of course I'm gonna look at my face because they told me not to. And I had looked in the mirror, and it was like somebody had tried to make me look like a clown. I had big purple eyes, and you know, your face swollen, you got some scratches and bruises. But at that moment, that was when it really set in like you're here for a reason. God can take you out. So therefore, that was my motivation to never give up, never quit fighting the big fight. So that even though I was 12 years old, that's still something something major for a child to go through. So I overcome that. I fought that. I was back at school, you know, when I was about 15 years old. Well, let me rewind. Sorry, I forgot. I left one part out. The doctor did tell me that if I would have landed on my face in the accident, instead of my head hitting her windshield, and my face would have hit her windshield, then I wouldn't have made it. So that was part of my testimony. It was part of my story, part of my motivation, my fight to keep fighting the big fight. So when I was 15 years old, we had started at Southside Baptist Church. I had met now, which is still now my best friend. And even though I was going through some verbal things at home, you know, and me and my mother couldn't see eye to eye, that was like my safe place. I met my best friend and her family. They took me in, you know, I'd go over there on the weekends after I get out of school, and we just had that great relationship. Even though they're not family, blood family, they still are my family. So every weekend I would go over there, you know, until it was years. I would go on trips with them, everything. And then when I turned around 18, started trying to do, you know, my own thing. You think you're grown at that age. So I was roommating with somebody, and later on, in about a couple years after that, in 2007, I had my oldest son. He was born on January 11th, 2007. And I thought I was in love with somebody. I thought, you know, that was the one. But God shows you different. You might plan one thing, but He might lead you in another direction. You think you're doing it. You think you got all the answers, but that's nothing compared to what God has for you. So therefore, I had my son. I had to go back to work 2 weeks after I had my son. That was my first child. I had to go back to work 2 weeks afterwards, just so I could provide for my son diapers, you know, food, whatever he needed. And so, even though I wasn't supposed to be back at work, because, you know, you're supposed to wait 6 weeks, I was waitressing. So I was able to go back to work, thank God. And I went back to work, and he's 13 now. So, you know, even through the years, even though his biological father wasn't there, God still made a way. He still provided. He still said, you know what? That's nothing. Because as long as you got me, you don't need him. Your son may need him, but you don't. You don't need him to get done what you need to do as a mother. So you keep fighting the big fight and don't give up. Even though all the struggles that we may have encountered and the struggles that may came along, you know, because I was making minimum wage, trying to raise a son, trying to put a roof over his head, trying to make sure food gets in the environment, I never gave up. I had to keep fighting the big fight. And that was my main thing. I feel like I'm a fighter. No matter what the devil may try to throw at me, you keep fighting. So, my son was almost 2 years old. Before I met what is now my husband, I prayed and I said, God, just send me somebody, you know, send me my husband. Let me know that he's the right one. Let me just send him to me, you know. And sometimes we get impatient because you're going to go through trials and tribulations. You may go through a couple people that you think is that one, but it's not going to be the one until God says it's the one. And so I met what is now my husband, and that was around in the end of 2008, around Thanksgiving. I met him. Then a couple weeks passed, you know, I finally let him meet my son, and their bond was unbreakable. The bond that they had let me know it's okay. You know, this is your one. This is the one I sent for you. This is the one that you prayed about. Because if he had a bond with my son, I knew that was the main thing in my category. I mean, I know we have to have a bond because, of course, we're going to be in a relationship. But he has to accept my son first. And so he would call at the time, my boyfriend, he would call him man. He would call him by his name. He would call him man. And they had the unbreakable bond. And so then that just made me grow to love him more. Because if he loved my son first, then I know everything was gravy after that. So now it's, my oldest son is 13. He just turned 13. So it's been 12 years that we've been together. The end of this year will be 12 years. We've been in July, will be 2 years that we've been married. And so that's what I want to add. You know, even though you're married or you might be in a relationship, don't ever think that you're not going to go through trials and tribulations. Because back in, it's been about 4 or 5 years ago, before me and my husband got married, God put us into a trial and tribulation. Because he had to do it in order to let me know. Quit loving man. You can't put a man before me. If you love a man before me, then you're not loving me for who I am. So therefore, God had to put me, or both of us, in a situation just to let me know you can never sit there and put a man before me. I'm a jealous God. So therefore, you have to love me before anybody, before your kids, before your husband. I've got to come first in your life. And if I don't come first, then you're not loving me for who I am. You're not really of God. You don't have that relationship with me. And so that really, it put me in a situation where I had no choice. I had to give it all up. I had to give it to God. I had to say, you know what? I know what I've been doing. I've been sitting here trying to find my husband through the flesh and trying to do it by myself. Even though I prayed, I really didn't mean it because I was still loving a man before you. So therefore, at that time when he put us through that trial and tribulation, it just let me know, you know what? Whether a man is there or not, you have to love me the same. You have to love God the same. So therefore, that just gave me a whole different mindset. It let me know, even when you don't have nobody, you still have God. And he still works it out. So here we are now. We've been married going on 2 years. And when I thought maybe we weren't going to end up together because God put us in that trial and tribulation for a minute, it's still, God said I had to put you there in order for you to learn. A man can't do nothing for you. When you pray to me and you ask me for something, I'm the miracle worker. I'm the one that's got to work it out. A man ain't always going to be there. But we've been married now going on 2 years in July. July will be 2 years. So God just let us know. He just put us in that spot for a moment to kind of shake us up to get us back where we needed to be because we was too comfortable. Because we've been together for going on 7, 8 years then. So then he let us know we was too comfortable with each other. You're not too comfortable. So when you're comfortable, you're not moving in your destiny. You're not doing God's work. So therefore, I have to kind of shake you up a little bit to which is my process. It was part of my process to just keep fighting the great fight. And that's my unbreakable word.